Okay, we're going to have a little chat tonight. We're talking about a game/event we just had at a local field. The game was called O.O.P.S, which sounds funky, but it's Operation Open Play Saturday. It was the name Kevin come up with, and I guess introductions are important here.
Okay.
This is Kevin. His call sign is Rebel. You know me, Don. I'm Keeper. And this was a brainchild between the pair of us. We came up with this event to be played at an open play. We took over the game and ran it. So why don't you start out and tell some of the people out there that are watching this how we all got started on this?
Well, it all started like first you and I had a master plan of a big event, and so we were talking about it, working it out. So then we went to go talk to Tim about it.
Now, Tim is the owner of EMR Event Park in
Yes.
New Milford,
Yes.
Pennsylvania.
So then we got talking and everything, and he goes, "Why don't you guys run an open play, see how that goes?" So we asked if we could. He said, "Yeah, no problem." And we planned one and we did it.
We picked a date. We picked a date in October for the fact that it was so ungodly hot. And we really didn't want to run something where you were sweating your ass off and stuff like that. Plus, there was a lot of, not a lot of dates because he was doing a lot of paintball stuff at the time, too, if I remember correctly.
Which you can't blame him for.
Yeah. Okay, one of the big things was prep for this game. You had a crap load of ideas for game types. And I mean a lot of good ideas. And we hashed them out a couple of nights, like in video chats, trying to would this work? Would that work? Can we do this? And then they're like, holy Christ, we can't do that. You have to figure out your audience, the number of people you're going to have, the skill level of the players. If you got a bunch of really hardcore players, you're playing another way. If you got a bunch of noobs, you're playing this way. So I had to figure a lot of that stuff in. We came up with 7 different types of games at the time.
I know, it wasn't a pre-register type deal. It was just show up, pay. Because at that point, and plus we played there a lot, we had a lot of different skill-based players. So we took some time to say, okay, well, what if these new people showed up? How would they play? We got to make it fair for them and challenging for the more hardcore players.
And I think the biggest thing, when I was talking to you, was objectives for everybody, either easy, hard, medium, cooperative, whatever, but they had to be an objective instead of the just team deathmatch, shoot at each other, go back to spawn, shoot at each other, go back to spawn. We wanted to do that type of thing.
Yeah, and we also first thing we discussed too was the 50-yard line. I think for especially a lot of new players, that is perfect for it because they don't feel overwhelmed because they're not used to that much action in the game, especially if there's the first few times out. So, we did a 50-yard. We decided we're doing a 50-yard line for all the games, and I think everybody was pretty happy about that too.
Now, one of the things that we did is we actually went up to the field. We talked to Tim, the owner of EMR, and we talked to Tim and said, "Hey, would you mind if we come up there on a Friday?" So we drove up with a measuring, with a rolling measure and a video camera,
and a couple props too.
Yeah, and a couple props, and we actually videotaped games on how they would be run. Now, one of the things I want to mention here is we were paying for all the stuff ourselves.
Yes.
All right. The flags, I'd say all the flags I had. You were buying some straps for holding the flag poles that we had made up. We had 8 flag poles we made up. I already had the crates, the 2 sets of crates that we're going to use. I already had the electronic bombs that we're going to use. Most of the stuff we were going with only a few things that we could change up.
A lot of stuff we brought is stuff we use as for team training too.
Yes.
Different objectives.
And you narrated and explained the rules in all the games.
Yeah, which we heard a lot of good things about. A lot more people had a lot more understanding of the gameplay, and it went. I think it went pretty smooth.
Now, the biggest change that we did, if anybody's ever been to EMR, and for people that have not been to EMR has a 50-yard line that they do horizontal across this square field. And what they do is for the paintball people and the airsoft people, they have them in this little 8 by 16 building. That's where they start. You can actually see the other team.
Yeah.
And you can't go past the 50-yard line, and it's across this way. Well, we decided that we wanted to do diagonal across the field and move the spawn points way back.
Yeah.
Which would
figure would be different.
And it would give us room for large groups of people or even small groups of people.
Yep.
And we'll touch on gameplay after in a little bit here, but I think it was a positive thing I heard from almost every player that was there.
Oh, yeah.
That they liked the different angle and the gameplay setups and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, we did have we had a couple people go over the 50-yard line, but it wasn't a big deal. We just told them, hey, get back. Which they're not used to it, so you can't blame them.
Now, we had planned that you were going to be a ref, I was going to be a ref, and we were hoping that Tim had 2 other guys being refs.
Yes.
It worked out. We only had 1, but that worked out for us in the end anyway. So.
Yeah.
But that was always our plan, to have us as referees and the other 2 guys just as like other referees to make sure game flow happened. You know,
like to watch players and that.
Now, gameplay, we still, right up until we actually went there, we were still talking about what we have to do and, like, do we need to get... We actually bought some more stuff for some more flags to be put up.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So we ended up having 8 flagpoles, of which we put 4 in the town, and we're put 4 on another building, and we're going to use them in various other locations. We had actually 10 flags that we brought with us, and the flag has a red flag on one side and a blue flag on the other. You just flip it to whatever you want. So the Friday before game day, we had a prep day.
Yep.
We drove up.
Beautiful day. Sun's out.
It was like 70 degrees. This is gorgeous. Oh. And I forgot a couple of props, which was fine. But we set up all the flags, and we sort of set up the cones and stuff like that we had to do, and the tarp we had to have for this one building. Yeah. But we forgot to bring the crates. That was my bad on that. That was the only thing we forgot to bring, and the large collapsible cones we were going to use for spawn points.
Yeah.
But we brought them game day, so it really wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But I want to reiterate on that how nice it was on Friday.
A beautiful day. Like I don't think I was wearing a coat. It was just sunny, no cloud in the sky.
Yeah, and I said, I'm walking around with sunglasses on. It's that type of day.
Yeah.
Saturday comes. The weather forecast comes up and says 90% chance of rain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So I pick you up. It starts raining. We're driving. It's raining. It's not heavy, but it's raining steady.
It definitely lights up in some spots, comes back.
And I remember we're talking about there probably going to be nobody there.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened when we pulled around to the parking lot?
There was people there. I was extremely shocked.
And this is one of those things that, like, you plan on a game, an event, whatever, and the rain or the weather, be it snow, rain, whatever, always has a limiting factor on the number of people that you will get out. And I was just, like, pleasantly surprised that there was people there that I didn't know they were going to come.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good showing, even for the rain.
Absolutely. Like, I thank everyone for showing up. We did it several times while we were doing everything, and not one person was upset.
Now,
We all went out at a good time.
I know it did limit some people that said, yeah, they were going to come up, but it's pouring where they were, so they didn't come up. I know 3 people left me messages after, how was your game? And I'm like, sorry, we couldn't come up. And they were shocked that we had stayed there playing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, how many, was there that many people? Yeah, there were people there, man. You missed out. And,
Yeah.
these were people that were going to come, even some local people that didn't show up because they said, oh, nobody will be there because it's raining. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And people showed up. Like, even people from like an hour away showed up.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Now, one of the things that like I want to mention too is that Tim let us use his radios. We had radios, but he had radios that his guys have, and we couldn't find the channel that they're on.
Yeah,
It's some
it was
goofy
weird.
channel. Anyway, he let us use radios. Both Kevin and I had bullhorns. He had a small one, I had a big one, and we had the siren part of it, which we were ending the games with, and we had the.
It worked out great.
Yeah, it was great. Now, one of the things I should have mentioned in prep for this event, we took Tim's rule set for EMR Event Park, and we went through it.
Yes, we went line by line
Yes.
by line.
We edited a few parts. We added a few things.
Yep.
We clarified a few things.
Yep.
But I would say the group that was there was more experienced
Yes.
than noobs.
Yes.
That day.
Like, we did have a couple new people.
Yeah.
But they understand the rules. They had no issue with the rules.
I think running with other people that were, had done stuff like this before, that helped them a lot.
Other good players.
Yes. And one of the things I want to mention, there was no drama. There was nobody bitching about no calling hits or anything like that. We didn't have to address any of that.
Nope.
Which I think was phenomenal. Now, who's to say if it was sunny and we had 100 people there, it might have been an issue, but you never know. That'll be another day.
Well, one of the last things I said after we read the rule set was, all right, everybody, you're not going to win and you're not going to lose. We're here to have fun.
Right.
And it was on board with that.
One of the first things that, like, I want to explain one thing, too, is I was 4 weeks out. 4 weeks and 1 day after complete knee surgery. I got a knee replaced. And I'm like, I was hurting. I ain't going to lie. I was hurting. I actually took a pain pill before we started. And halfway through the day, I took another pain pill. And, like, I made it about halfway through the games before my knee was, like, shot. And Kevin, the trooper, him and Pat, the other referee, they ran the last couple of games. I just couldn't do it. I got a seat in the back and sat down.
Yeah.
Now, it was raining, and we were setting some props out in the beginning. And one of the things is I walked down the one section of the field, and I didn't realize that there wasn't a puddle. There was a pond. And my left foot missed it. My right foot went in over the boot.
Yeah.
I mean, totally soaked my foot. My left foot's dry. My right foot's wet. So we're walking around and everything like that. And I had to mention that to people. It's like my right foot is warm that was wet, and my left foot, which is dry, is cold. I'm like, it was just ironic. At the end of the day, I think everybody was wet. The only dry part on me was like where I had the vest on right here on my chest and like right around my waist, and that a little bit was dry.
Yeah.
The bottom of my pants were wet. The sleeves were wet. My hat was wet. I opted, like you, to not wear a helmet that day. Yeah. And I did get shot quite a bit.
I think I only got hit twice out of that whole day.
I got hit like 4 or 5 times.
And I was in the middle more than you.
Yes.
I was in the middle all the time.
I think because I was walking, we're doing an old man rules. The old man don't want to walk far, so the old man stayed on top. I think when I walked over to one side, there's people, I'm in the line of fire. I don't realize it. I walk over, see the guy, turn around, bang, I got hit in the back of the head. Walk over here, bang, bang, I hit in the shoulder. I'm like, I'm not getting hit because they're shooting at me. I'm getting hit because I'm behind the guy that's shooting at them.
Well, it was funny. A couple times we had our teammates that were there. Well, we had a lot of our teammates there.
Yeah.
2 of them were sniping. and both of them throughout like the games, so like move, move. I'm like, oh.
I think we did have some issues with guns. The
Oh,
guy
absolutely.
the guys
Well,
that were sniping, I think they were having a hell of a time because of the rain.
oh yeah, like as soon as that BB hits anything, it's gone. It's
And
done.
I even think the like some of the AAGs and the HPA guys where the BBs were going. Well, we actually had one guy with his P90. The BBs
Yeah,
were getting wet in his and sticking in the gun, and they were going all over the place. He says,
yeah.
"Well, I don't know what's going on with this." I said, "Your BBs are wet, right?"
And
And
they're
the
biodegradable,
yeah,
so
yeah, and the one mag that he had that was sort of under his vest, he pulled out, put in the gun. That shot great. But all the rest of the ones were sticking out in the
yeah,
rain. The water was getting in there, getting moisture.
yeah,
They were sticking together. They're like going all over, misfeeding, whatever. That was the only mag that was running. And I'm
yeah.
like, that was, he said, well, what do I do? I said, empty mags all out. I said, run like 4 BBs through there with some oil on them and empty them out. I said, throw them BBs away. Don't try to save them. And I
Yeah.
hope everybody did that.
Use them for grenades.
Yes. Because you don't want to try to put those wet BBs. They'll dry. They'll have like lumps or whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever will be bad on that. Because I've run into that myself where I had the mags with open tops facing, excuse me, up in the rain.
yeah.
Put them in the gun. Nothing works. Buzz them out for like 3/4 of the BBs. Try to shoot them again. They get wet, moisture, whatever. That was the end of that. They didn't work.
Like I gotta admit though, it felt really weird going to play airsoft without playing airsoft.
Yes.
Like I'm just used to suiting up and getting in there, and I'm walking on the field. I'm like, I feel naked.
The we started out the day with a warm up game in
Yeah,
the same field setup that we're going to use for the next game. So they got used to the diagonal 50-yard line. We played a 10-minute, switch sides 10 minutes just to warm them
yeah,
up, come back in. And by that time, it had started coming down pretty decent.
yeah.
So we took them out for the next one. It's a flag game. I don't know if you want to explain that one, how it goes.
Well, it's like one of the first games that we were discussing. Just a easy game, flag game. We have 4 flags going diagonal. It was right on like the 50-yard line, so like you were able to go into the building, go on the side of it, but you couldn't go past the building. So we had 4 flags, 2 in the middle, 1 on each end, and you can tell a lot of people really enjoyed that game because it was something that they actually can do.
One of the things I noticed, though, that like,
The bottom team,
yeah, people would finally get the idea. We were using a larger area than just the little town itself. You
yeah,
had more area to go out. And the people that were up the one side, we actually had a couple guys sneak over and lay in the brush shooting at the people trying to get to the one flag.
yep,
And we explained to the people that you can take away a point. You can get a point by putting your color up, but you can take away a point by just knocking the flag off,
yep,
which a
and
couple
a lot
people
of
were
people were
doing.
doing, a lot of people were doing that.
So, the thing of it is the center was the big contention, but
Yes,
then all of a sudden you had some ends being fought over.
yep.
Okay, because
It
as a
was
diagonal, the spawn on one side was way over here, and the flag's here, or this spawn's here and this flag's here. So it's more of a like angled point. It's the
yeah,
same distance, and it's the same to the center. So you could like place people and move flags around. Now we actually had some people give a lot of suggestions on that game too.
yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
One of the suggestions was 4 flags in the center instead of 2.
Oof,
And
that would have been crazy.
the other guy said to me, he said an odd number of flags instead of an even number. Although I thought the even number was a really good way for them to fight. But one guy said, yeah, we should have an odd number of flags. Now, the only negative I will say on that game is for some reason, the bottom side of the field, even though it's the same distance, we measured
Yeah,
it,
yeah. We measured like several times.
got to the flags quicker,
The center flags.
the center flags.
They got to the center flags quicker.
And the only thing I can think of is they're running on grass. These guys are running through a little bit of brush, same distance, going through a little bit of brush to get there.
Yeah,
Same distance. Now, we can either move the spawns up or just leave them where they are or, whatever. But
well, that's for
Yeah, that's for another game.
You know.
Now, did we switch sides on that? I forget now. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we switched. Yeah, we switched sides. Yeah.
We switched sides on that. That was a 15-minute game. So that's 15 and 15.
Yep.
30-minute game. Then we went in. Okay. What was the second game? Jeez, I lost it already.
Well, wasn't the second game supposed to be like down to Rat's Nest?
Yeah.
But
it was raining so hard.
Oh.
I said, would you guys want to just continue playing in the town? So I think I came out for that one again.
Yeah, you came out for that one. Then I think it was after the second round of that one. You like, I'll send out one more, but then I just turned into like the rest of the day.
Was that a flag game we played again? The flag game?
Yeah, because we got everybody together and said, listen, like we actually showed them our game list that we wanted to do. And tell you what, they were really, really impressed with what we came up with. But nobody really wanted to go that far in the rain, play, to walk all the way back. Yeah, in the rain. So everybody goes, can we just stay in the town? And like, you sure? Like, you guys want to play flag games for everything? It's like, yeah, like they're all for it. So it was a bummer because of the weather, because we had so much more to plan. We explained other games.
We did move up the one spawn.
Yeah.
To make it a little bit more easier for the other team to get there. All it did was give them an extra like 30 feet, which made the difference. They were getting there at the same time to the center building and more of a fight. Yeah. We had two face plants on my side where the guy started running and went, I mean, they're saving the gun. They're not saving their face. I'm like, right down into the grass.
Hey, replicas were more important than body parts.
Well, one guy on our team, he sort of went on his side and went like this with the gun in the air, straight down. Yeah. The other guy held the gun out to the right, put his hand down. It went forward. He went down. And he's right in there like this. I said, you okay? Yeah. And he run like a fool. So I'm like, It didn't hurt, but there was a little bit of like traction issue because we had a little bit of a hill to go up over.
The next day.
Yeah, probably people were. Now, at this point, Rebel's going to be explaining everything else because I went into Tim and I said, Tim, the pain pill ain't cutting it. I said, I'm really hurting. He actually got a chair for me and let me sit inside in the dry, bullshitting with him. We're talking about various things. He's showing me the different guns he's got and stuff that he's going to plan to do next year. He's talking about. We're in there having a good time. And Rebel and Pat, the other referee from up at EMR Event Park, took him out for like the next game. So it's all yours now, buddy.
Yeah, so I think we only did like 3 or 4 more games. No, 4. Like, I know we did in the town twice, and we did Margaret. I guess like at least 4 more games. So we everybody asked, like, can we just go to Margaritaville? We had nothing really planned for that area, just as you can come into the town that way. Mm-hmm. And a couple people left already, because the one guy, his BBs were jamming, so he called it. A couple people also too left, which, you can't blame them. It's the weather.
Yeah.
So we went out to Margaritaville. We played 2 rounds out there. That's where I got hit the most, was in Margaritaville. I'm standing still in a red vest and a red hat, and I'm getting hit in the chest. I'm like, really? So, then me and Pat we're walking around, making sure everybody's good. Guys are having a blast. Game ends. We switched sides, started again. We came in. Then, we had maybe an hour and a half left of the day.
Yeah.
Like that. So I said, okay, guys, what do you want to do now? I apologize for what we couldn't do because of the weather. So is there anything you want to do? I said, can we do town but full field? And I'm like, you guys want to do it? Yeah. I said, okay, let's do it. So we went out back to the town, 2 rounds, full field. Of course, I yelled at my CO all the time just because I had the power, So I made him go back to spawn several times just to make him mad. But
one thing I want to mention, during this time, I had been sitting, and this was the second pain pill I took, so I was feeling pretty good then. And a gentleman came in. His gun was jamming. He had a pistol during the day, and he said he's having trouble with the pistol. And I said it wasn't his pistol, it was his BBs. I said get new BBs, put them in the mag, and I said dry your mag off. I said put brand new BBs in and try it. And he said, oh, it started to work. I said, yeah, you go back out, and it was raining. I said it's gonna get just as bad.
It was raining.
So I said, yeah. I said at the end of the day, I was talking to Tim, and I said we're gonna try to collect the stuff up. I said if we don't get it all, we'll come up tomorrow and get it.
Yeah, and he had no problem with that.
This guy's name was Kyle. He said to me, hey, I'll go help you bring it up. He said, I'm probably not going to play no more. All my mags are wet. All the BBs are jamming up in the gun. Yeah. So he said, let's go down and we'll get it. So I got a pair of side cutters because we used paracord to hold some tarps up in the air.
Yeah.
And we had some flags down there. And that was a haul. And this is me with my leg had just been like numb by the painkillers.
Yeah.
So we walked all the way down and we gathered the flags, and this guy folded the tarp so nice and neat. I cut down all the paracord, grabbed the flags, and we limped back up to the field.
Well, no, you limped back up. He walked.
Yeah, he just walked up through. So we got back to the car, and I threw the stuff in the car, and I said to him, I said, yeah, there's stuff over in Numbskull. I said, I don't know if I want to go over there or not. He said, well, I'll go over and get it. And I felt bad. And I said, what the hell, I'll go over with you. So we're walking over there, and we're walking down the lane, and there's this massive, like, pond there. You can't get around. So we have to go over the stone wall. And there's a tree across the stone wall and some rocks. He goes right over it, no problem. And I'm like, okay, now let's see how we're going to do this. So I'm grabbing on, holding stuff, and I actually slipped a little forward, and he stopped me from going on, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So we went all over there, and he went through and untied all the flags that were up there, and like bundled up all the holders. And I grabbed some of the flags, and he grabbed 2 of the flags and all 4 of the poles and the straps. And he's got all this stuff, and I'm carrying 2 flagpoles, and I'm like, okay. So I said, we're walking the long way out.
Yeah.
And he's walking with all this stuff, and he's still getting ahead of me because I was really in pain by that time. So we get out to the car finally, and I'm like, we throw all the stuff in the van, and he said, well, here, what do you want me to wrap these up? I said, just throw them in. Throw them in. I didn't care how it was. Just throw it in. And I went back inside, and I sat down on a chair, and I was hurting. I was like, I gotta rest my leg up. I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And then it was you. You guys were coming in.
So after the last game, I was like, all right, well, like I saw you 2 walk down to Rat's Nest, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna go clean up. I said, all right, cool. So then when we're playing again, I see you guys walking to Numbskull. I was like, oh wow, they're getting that too. All right. So then after the last game, I asked people. I said, listen, you guys don't have to, but would anybody mind giving me a hand collecting the stuff from the town? And everybody came over and helped. It was amazing. Like I couldn't thank them enough. And you can tell they had a good time just by the way how they act when we were done and just helping clean it up.
I just want to mention too, Friday was like sunny, warm, and Sunday was sunny and warm.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell happened to the day in between?
I'm telling you, Tim did it on purpose.
Yes.
Tim did it on purpose. I'm telling you that.
I often thought that if the day was like Friday or even Sunday, it was a little overcast on Sunday, but it was still like 60-some degrees.
It was beautiful. It still would have been wet out there because of rain all day.
Yeah.
But I think people would have still had a good time.
So all we needed was the storm to push a little farther through faster, and we could have Friday's weather on Saturday, and it would have been fantastic. Do you feel that we would have been there like past 2 o'clock?
If we were able to do all the games that we wanted, I think so. I think we would have been there at 2 o'clock. The guys were like, oh, can we play again? Can we do something? Do you
think we would have got through all our games?
Oh, absolutely. Because
I really wanted to do the bomb game. I really wanted to.
I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do No Skull. I think that would have been a good game too. No, we made it fair for both sides in all the games, so I think everybody would have had a blast either way. But what are you gonna do?
So, what we're going to talk about now is what happens next.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well, here, let me start with this. So when we first got there, first Tim was like, "Oh, I thought you guys were gonna cancel. I was about to send you guys a message or call you or something." I'm like, nope, we're here. It's going on no matter what. People are here. We're doing it. So then I go to him like, "Hey, if this turns into like a wash, or even if it doesn't, like, can we do another one next year?" And he looked at me. He goes, "Absolutely." And I'm like, "Score."
I want to mention something too that Tim he has explained that, it's basically a paintball park, and he makes a lot more money on paintball events and LARP events. He makes a lot of money on LARP events. And he has a lot of big paintball events and open plays. He has a team that trains there twice a week. He has LARP events that are really throughout the summer there all the time.
And there's a lot of airsoft events coming too. Not like ours, nothing like ours. But
yeah, but there's Otherworld Milsim has a couple events there.
Yeah.
But Tim has mentioned that he is not going to have open plays next year. But he has mentioned that he might let us have one.
Oh, well, he said we could.
Yeah. I'd like to have more than one if we could do it.
Oh, absolutely. Like we actually had a couple people come up to me like towards the end when you were inside, said, "Hey, are you guys doing this again next year? Like, or you guys got to do more of these next year?"
Well, that's the whole plan, and I'd really like to. There used to be a location and a group that planned monthly games. Now they didn't do it every month, and it ended up after a while being every other month. And these guys had objective-based games. The first couple, like hour or two, was always objective-based games, but then it always devolved into a TDM and capture the flag type shit after a while. But he really had a really nice setup. The group sort of disbanded and they don't have access to the field anymore. But I'm like, it used to be fun, and I always thought that's something I would like to do. Like not every month, because sometimes that might be a bit of a pain because we have other things going on. But every other month, plan one. Yeah. If we could.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm really busy, so I don't think we can do one every other month. Maybe we do like one like in the beginning of the season.
Or do like three or four during the year.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is, your idea is to keep them going.
Yes.
As part of this.
My idea is like a continuous storyline with objectives. Yes, the objectives will most likely be the same. Because
little tweaks.
We are limited to like the props we have, or we might invest in them more. But but we're thinking of different ways to use those props, and I know we started dabbling about the next one. So
yeah, and we didn't get to use a lot of the props that we had brought.
We didn't. No, we didn't. But now we are preparing. If it does rain, we have backup plans to the same games.
Because like an electronic or electrical prop might fail, but if you have a mechanical prop, it gets wet. So who cares? You just keep running it.
Look at all bullhorns. The siren worked.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do it anymore because it got wet.
Well, we had the same problem with radios too. If you were holding them up in the air too much or on your gear, they were getting wet. I was walking around with my end facing down in my hand. And that's how my hand stayed most of the time. And I would actually walk around with it like against my chest with my hand covering with the speaker part down so no water would get in it. Now, if you had better radios, the Baofeng ones we have, I've had mine get soaking wet and it's never had a problem. But they're built like to be out in the rain.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because when mine was wet, you had a hard time hearing me. I walked into the office to talk to Tim about something, and he ripped the one off me and gave me a different one. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, Tim was very understanding. He really gave us a lot of latitude to do stuff. All right. You've been at several open plays and refed too,
Yeah, like they came and asked me if I could help ref,
and
and
you're saying to me, "Why didn't he ask you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a friggin' cripple. Why am he going to ask me to run around? Lee, you're a young guy, can run around."
no, but
Well,
I think that also helped us running one because he saw like how safe we are and how like determined we are on safety
mhm.
and the gameplay. So I really hope that's what Tim saw and let us really do this.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Now, one of the things, like you said, you want to keep this game going.
yeah.
Do we want to mention the new name that we're coming up with?
I don't see why not. Get people a little excited.
Like, it's going to be another O.O.P.S game, Operation Open Play Saturday,
Yeah,
Row, ROW, Revenge of the Weather.
yeah.
And we
Just be,
actually even have a picture in the whole thing. You know, it's
yeah,
like you're missing the in there, but I don't care. Revenge of the Weather.
yeah,
And it's Revenge on the Weather. You know, I want to, like, put it up there. We got a little picture. We're going to make it all up and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, we've been in that spirit. We've actually been working on more game types
Yep.
to utilize the props we have, but in a different way,
Yeah, and in more areas too.
in more areas too. And we will get into great detail. We're not going to touch
Yeah,
on it now on how we actually, you know, we got a bunch of games. Just let me tell you, I got a bunch of games written down.
and we're still going for, or we're still thinking of ideas.
Yeah, and we're still putting stuff in there.
Like I'll admit, like all the ideas that I thought of for the last one, and I'm thinking of this one. Keeper's been really toning me down. He's like, all right, hold on.
It sounds really good, but then you got to
Yeah.
remember your audience. You got to remember
Yes.
your player base. Because if you have a whole pile of hard nosed, you know, hardcore guys that have played, that idea is fantastic.
Oh,
But if you got a bunch of noobs that, like, you know, have a Springer and they're out there standing going, okay, what do I do with this? I'm like,
yeah. I
it's
use this.
yeah, it's like it's based on player, the amount of players and the type of players, and that's always what you want to do. And you also, one of the other things that I want to touch on, I won't give too much away, is like on this new event that we're planning, the people that win the next game type we have, they're at a disadvantage
Yep.
because if these guys are constantly losing, we want to give them a little bit of better play, so
Yeah.
it keeps it fun. And that's the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
of it is you want to make fun for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, the idea I sent you for the very last game. Do you like that or
Yeah.
no?
I don't think we want to touch on it in
No,
this
no,
thing.
no. But I just wanna get your opinion if you liked it or not. Like, of course, we're gonna go over everything with a fine tooth comb, because a lot of us like to find loopholes and stuff.
I
So
think
we're gonna
I think one of the big things is the interaction. When you come up with an idea, I write it down, then we work it through, and then finally the big thing that we do is we go up and we measure it out and see how it lines up. I'm like,
way before the due
yeah,
date.
you want to plan. You can't just say, okay, we're going to do this game and then go and do it the
Yeah.
next day. I'm like, a lot of things, they sound good in your head, but until you actually lay it out on the field and do some measuring, and
Yeah.
you'll say, geez, look how close these guys are on a flat. These guys got to come up a hill. Maybe we should make these guys closer or these guys farther away. You know, you have to balance out on your terrain and number of players and everything like that.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Because I think we did that pretty good last time. Like we had a decent crowd and it worked out good. But if we had to we talked, if we had a smaller crowd, we would move
changed
this,
up.
move that.
Not only
And
time limits, but the type of gameplay that we're
yeah,
going to do.
oh, absolutely, yeah. But I'm really excited on what we're coming up with and what we're using we're using flags again.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to reuse some of the stuff we plan on using, and we're going to be using newer stuff.
And hey, it's all, you know, it's funny that you take a prop that's so simplistic and you're like, we're going to make you do this with this prop from
Yep.
here to go to there to go to here, and it's going to continue. And that's
Yes.
going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, well, the idea that we came up with is like we'll start in one location, and you have to do something, and then go to the next location. Like it's gonna be game break, game break, game break.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep
Well,
rotating.
we're keeping in the open play format too, because
Yes.
that's what Tim has. the games are basically for new players, and
Yeah.
after each session, you always go back in,
Absolutely.
hydrate, put your BBs in, whatever it is, because it's not a continuous like 4 or 5 hours play.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
you're not
15,
all day.
20 minutes,
Yeah.
30 minutes, go back in and play like that.
Well, the biggest thing is with the rule set. We'll kind of go back a little bit. When we tweaked it, and we sent it to Tim like way before we even put it on. I know Tim really appreciated it. He goes, "I might use this now."
That's good. I like that.
So, so I'm glad we helped even for everyone.
Okay, we might as well end it with that. And one thing I want to say that I hope this time next year, I'll be walking around like a champ with my new knee, and I won't have any problems. Whenever we do this, we do it in early spring, we do it throughout the year, whatever. I just hope that I'm going to be 100% and like have a real good time with it too. And go ahead.
Well, first, yes, I hope you're back 100% because it's fun playing with you.
Yeah.
I have a blast shooting at you, so it's you're like my #1 target every time. Well, now we got 2 more snipers on the team, so now I really got to keep an eye out. But sign off, like a big, huge thank you goes out to Tim and EMR for letting us put this on and letting him trust us and have a good time. And third is thank you to all the players who came out.
Yes, especially in the rain.
Made this quite successful, even though it kind of wasn't, but
I think it was and wasn't it. 50-50 it was.
Yeah, we'll go 50-50 there. But I think next year's, we still got to work out the date, which we're shooting for like springtime-ish.
And we might do more during the year too. So.
Oh yeah. Like I hope to at least do like maybe 2 or 3 a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give or take. It depends how many crazy ideas I come up with. But again, with the players came out, all of them are great sports. Even in the weather's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I know there's a couple of people that were happy I wasn't playing because I always take them out, which is hilarious. So I know they're gonna enjoy that next time because everybody can play. But no, and a huge thank you to you too, Keeper, for doing this with me. If it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't be doing this, and I probably wouldn't be on the team either.
I really want to get some more people involved too from our team, and I think the more people we get involved, not for input but for helping out, sort of like refs and stuff like that. Because like more cooks in the kitchen normally doesn't make it any better. So
and I just like how simplistic our stuff is.
Yeah,
it's plain Jane, and
simplistic with a twist.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna be doing the videos explaining the games for it. So everything will be laid out. So keep an eye out on what comes next.
Sounds like a plan. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you have a good night, Kev, and I will talk to you again.
All right.
See ya.
I like it!
I'm just here to have fun.